Hello, everyone. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. Welcome back to Easy English Learning.
Today, we are not just doing a quick lesson. We are embarking on a massive, incredibly detailed masterclass. We are going to once and for all resolve the confusion between two tiny words that cause huge problems: do and make.
That's right, Alex. Many of you have requested this deep dive. These two verbs are often translated to the same word in other languages, but in English, they operate very differently. They are not interchangeable, and using the wrong one is one of the most common mistakes English learners make. But by the end of this journey, you will think like a native speaker.
Let's set the foundation first. To master these, you need a mental framework. Sarah, let's introduce our special theory for this masterclass: the factory versus the flow.
I love this analogy. It makes everything so clear. Here's the secret. Think of make as a factory. Inside a factory, you create something new. You take raw materials and produce a tangible or abstract result. It's all about the end product.
Exactly. Let's start applying this in a place where we all spend a lot of time: the kitchen. Imagine Sarah and I are planning a small dinner party and we're talking about what needs to get done.
Alex, we need to hurry. Our friends will be here soon and we haven't even started preparing. Who's going to make the main course?
I'm not sure. I thought we were going to make something simple, like a pasta dish. But remember, the kitchen is currently a disaster. Someone needs to do some cleaning before we can start cooking.
You're right. Look at this mess. The counter is full of things. Okay, I'll tell you what. While you do the dishes from breakfast, you can start gathering the ingredients.
Good plan. While you're doing that, I will also make some coffee. I think we both need a little boost of energy before the real work begins.
I will never say no to coffee.
Let's stop right there and analyze those sentences. Sarah, why did you ask who is going to make the main course, but then say someone needs to do some cleaning?
This is the perfect example of the factory versus the flow. When I asked who is going to make the main course, I was focused on the result, the final meal that we would present to our guests. We take raw chicken, vegetables, and spices and create a dish. It's a creation. So we make the main course. We make dinner, make a salad, or make a dessert.
And what about the other two phrases, do some cleaning and do the dishes?
Cleaning is a perfect example of a process. It's a task that needs to be performed, but you aren't building a physical object named cleaning. You're engaging in the activity of making something clean. So we use do. Similarly with do the dishes. You aren't making a new dish from clay, you're performing the duty of washing the plates that already exist. This is the river. This is the flow of activity.
That is a great explanation, Sarah. But I used make again. I said, I will make some coffee. What about that?
Coffee is another creation. Before you start, you have water and coffee beans. After you're finished, you have a hot beverage. You produced a new thing. So you make coffee, just like you make tea or make a sandwich.
I think I'm getting it. Let's jump back into our kitchen scenario. Okay, the dishes are done, the coffee's made, and I've organized the ingredients. Now I have a big decision to make. Should we cook the lasagna or the curry?
Alex, that sounds like a serious decision. Lasagna is amazing, but the curry is faster.
I know. I'll make up my mind while I prepare the vegetables. But first, I need to do a quick favor for my neighbor, Mrs. Higgins. I promised to help her carry a box of books. It'll only take a minute.
Of course, while you're doing that favor, I will start chopping the onions for the curry.
Thanks, Sarah. By the way, try not to make a mess this time. Remember what the kitchen looked like before?
I will not make any promises, Alex. You know how chaotic it gets when I cook. Just try not to make a noise when you come back in so you don't scare the cat again.
Wow, so many examples just now. Let's deconstruct them using our mental map. Sarah, I said I have a big decision to make.
This is an important one. A decision is abstract, not something you can hold. But thinking back to our theory, you're choosing one single path out of many possibilities. You're creating a choice. It didn't exist until you thought about it and decided. So this is a very common fixed phrase in English. You make a decision. Another similar one is you make a suggestion.
And what about when I said, I will make up my mind? This sounds different.
This is actually a phrasal verb. To make up your mind is another way to say decide. It's also very common. Here, make is tied to creating a resolution or a conclusion in your head.
Then I switched back to do. I asked, can you do a quick favor? Why not make a favor?
Do is perfectly suited for general, non-specific activities or tasks, especially social duties. A favor is an act of kindness you perform for someone. It's a gesture, an activity that benefits another person, not a product. This is a crucial distinction. We always do a favor.
In the conversation, Sarah said, I'll start chopping the onions. Don't make any promises. Try not to make a mess. Let's analyze promises and mess.
Make a promise is similar to make a decision. It's an abstract creation of a formal statement. You produce a commitment. Now, make a mess is funny because a mess is usually something negative, but it's still a result of your actions. You create the situation where things are disorganized. So you make a mess. You produce a messy result. And make a noise is creating a sound from silence.
That is amazing. Let's look at one final very common household phrase that causes endless confusion. We do the housework, but we make the bed. Why the difference, Sarah?
Housework is like cleaning. It's the collective, general tasks needed to maintain a home. It's an activity that never really ends. So we do the housework. But the bed is different. You aren't just cleaning the sheets. You're physically arranging them, smoothing them out, and creating a neat result. You're taking a disorganized mess of sheets and forming a neat bed. This fits the creation theory of make. You make the bed every morning.
That is a great final distinction for this first section. I hope everyone is taking detailed notes because this is just the beginning.
Join us in the next section where we will leave the house and see how our factory versus flow theory applies in the intense environment of the workplace and the business world.
Now that we've mastered the kitchen, let's step into the professional world. In an office setting, the factory versus the flow theory becomes our compass for navigating complex conversations.
Exactly, Alex. In business, do represents the gears turning, the daily operations, the routines, and the professional obligations. Make, on the other hand, represents the output, the deals, the money, and the strategic choices.
Let's look at a scenario. Imagine we're preparing for a massive product launch.
Alex, have you done the market research for the new campaign yet? We need to be fully prepared before we make our pitch to the board of directors.
I've done most of it. Sarah, I spent the whole morning doing data analysis and doing some complicated calculations regarding our target audience. I think we're ready to make a very strong case for our strategy.
That's good to hear. But remember, we can't afford to make any mistakes this time. Last year, the marketing team made a huge blunder, and as a result, the company made a significant loss.
I remember. It was a disaster. This year, we need to make a profit, not a loss. I've already made a list of all the potential risks.
Great. While you double-check those risks, I need to make a few phone calls to our suppliers. After that, I'll do some paperwork and then make an appointment with the CEO to finalize the budget.
Let's stop and analyze this corporate flow. Sarah, you asked if I had done the research.
Research is a process. It's an investigation. You're moving through information, which is a classic flow activity. So we always do research. Similarly, you do homework or do an experiment. It's an intellectual task.
And what about the calculations and the analysis?
Those are technical tasks. They're part of your professional duty. You're performing an action on existing numbers. So you do calculations, do analysis, and do a job.
But then things shifted. We talked about making a pitch and making a case.
A pitch or a case is a presentation you create. You take your research and transform it into a persuasive argument. You're building a final product in your factory to show to the board. This is why we make a pitch or make a presentation.
And the financial part. This is where it gets serious. We talked about making a profit and making a loss.
This is essential for business English. Profit and loss are not activities. They're the final results of your business. You don't do a profit. You produce it, just like you make money or make a fortune. It's the ultimate output of the business factory.
I also noticed we mentioned making a mistake and making a blunder.
Even though a mistake is something we want to avoid, it's still a result of your actions. You produced an error. In English, we always make a mistake. You never do a mistake.
Let's talk about the list and the phone calls. You said you made a list and needed to make some phone calls.
A list is a tangible creation. You took a blank piece of paper or a screen and created a list of risks. And for phone calls, remember, you're initiating a connection. You're creating a conversation that wasn't there before. So we make a phone call. However, if you're just performing the general activity of working on the phone, you might say you're doing business over the phone.
And finally, the CEO. You said you'll make an appointment.
An appointment is an arrangement. It's a specific agreement between two people. You created this slot in the schedule, so you make an appointment, or make a reservation, or make a date.
But then I have to do the paperwork before the meeting.
Paperwork is the ultimate flow. It's the ongoing, often boring process of filling out forms and organizing documents. It's a task that is part of the job, so we do paperwork.
I think the distinction is becoming very clear. If it's a task or a process, we do it. If it's a result or a creation, we make it.
Exactly. Let's look at one more quick office interaction before we move on.
Sarah, I think we are making great progress on the project. Everyone is doing their best.
I agree. The team is doing a great job. I just hope the boss doesn't make any sudden changes to the plan.
If he does, we'll just have to make an effort to adapt. We've done business with him long enough to know he likes to make suggestions at the last minute. Progress and effort are two words that often confuse people. Why do they take make?
Progress is a measurable result. You look at where you were and where you are now. That distance covered is the result you produced, so we make progress. Effort is similar. You produce energy and put it into a task. You make an effort to achieve something.
But doing your best and doing business.
Doing your best is about the process of trying. It's the flow of your internal energy. And doing business is the general activity of trade and professional interaction. It's the ongoing river of commerce.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the office. I feel much more confident about using these in a professional environment. Alex, this is a perfect place to continue our masterclass. Communication is at the heart of everything we do, and surprisingly, make dominates this area.
That's true. Think about our theory. When we speak, we are taking silence and creating words, sounds, or ideas. We are producing something that others can hear. That is pure factory work.
Let's see how this plays out while we get ready for this event.
Alex, could you please stop making so much noise with those chairs? I'm trying to focus. I need to make a speech in front of 50 people, and I'm a bit nervous.
Sorry, Sarah, I didn't realize I was making a sound. I'll be quiet. Do you want me to listen to your speech and make some suggestions?
That would be wonderful. I've already made a few notes, but I'm worried I might make a joke that nobody understands.
Don't worry, you're naturally funny. But before you start practicing, I need to make a quick comment about the guest list. I think we made a mistake and invited too many people.
Oh no! I'll have to make a complaint to the organizers. They were supposed to handle the limit.
Wait, before you make a scene or make a complaint, let's just do an interview with the coordinator. Maybe they made an arrangement for extra seating. That was a lot of make in a very short time. Sarah, why did you say make a speech?
A speech is a creation of the mind and the voice. You start with a blank mind and you produce a structured talk. It's a classic result. You don't do a speech, you make a speech. The same goes for make a presentation or make a point.
And you were worried about making a noise and making a sound.
Sound is a physical output. When you move a chair or clap your hands, you were creating a vibration in the air. You produced a sound. So we make a noise or make a loud sound.
What about the interactive part? I offered to make a suggestion and you wanted to make a comment.
Suggestions and comments are verbal contributions. You are adding something new to the conversation. You are producing an idea and sharing it. Therefore, we make a suggestion, make a comment, and make a remark.
And then there's the awkward stuff. Make a joke and make a mistake.
Even a joke is a creation. You are building a funny story to get a reaction. And as we discussed in the office section, even though a mistake is bad, it is a result you produced. So we make a joke and make a mistake.
One interesting thing I said was make a scene. What does that mean?
To make a scene means to behave in a loud or angry way in public, creating a situation where everyone looks at you. You are creating a dramatic moment. It fits our factory theory perfectly.
But then I used do. I said, let's do an interview. Why is an interview different from a speech?
This is a subtle but important distinction. An interview is a process. It's a formal meeting where questions and answers flow back and forth. It's an activity that you participate in. So we do an interview, just like we do a test or do an exam. It's a procedure.
I see. So if I'm producing the words alone, it's make, like a speech, but if it's a structured process with someone else, it can be do, like an interview.
Exactly. Now think about other communication acts. We make a request, make an offer, and even make a promise. All of these are about producing a specific verbal commitment or action.
What about languages? If I translate a book, do I make a translation or do a translation?
This is a great question. Usually we say do a translation because you are performing the task or the process of changing words from one language to another. It's a professional activity. However, if you are talking about the final book itself, you might say this is a great translation that he made. But for the activity, do is much more common.
This section really shows how make is the king of communication. It's all about creating sounds and sharing ideas. We've covered a lot so far, but we need to talk about food in more detail. In English, food is almost entirely the territory of make.
That's because cooking is the ultimate form of creation. You take raw ingredients and turn them into something completely different. It's the factory in your kitchen.
Let's see how this works with our plans for the weekend. Alex, have you done the shopping for the party yet? We need to make a lot of food if we want everyone to be happy.
I haven't done the shopping yet, but I've made a plan. I thought I would make a huge salad and then make some sandwiches for the kids.
That sounds good. I'll make a cake for dessert. I love making sweets from scratch. But wait, who is going to do the cooking for the main course?
I thought we could make a reservation at that new Italian place instead. That way nobody has to do the cooking or do the dishes afterward.
You just want to make things easy for yourself, don't you? But if we go out, I still want to make a nice cup of tea before we leave.
Deal. I'll make a drink for myself too.
This is very interesting. Sarah, you asked if I had done the shopping.
Exactly. Shopping is a routine task. It's a process of going to the store, picking items, and paying. It's a chore. So for all general chores, we use do. We do the shopping, do the housework, and do the laundry.
But then I said I would make a salad and make sandwiches.
Because those are specific items you are creating. You are taking vegetables and producing a salad. You are taking bread and meat and forming a sandwich. For almost any specific food item or meal, we use make. We make breakfast, make lunch, and make dinner.
And you said you would make a cake.
A cake is a perfect factory example. You start with flour, eggs, and sugar, raw materials, and you produce a delicious result. So you make a cake, make a pie, or make a pizza.
Then we had a tricky one. I mentioned doing the cooking, and you mentioned doing the dishes.
This is where students often get confused. When we talk about the general activity or the chore of preparing food, we say do the cooking. It's like a job. But when we talk about the result, we use make. For example, I will do the cooking tonight and I think I will make spaghetti. See the difference? Do the cooking is the task and make spaghetti is the creation.
And do the dishes is obviously the flow of cleaning up.
Correct. And don't forget drinks. We always make tea, make coffee, make a cocktail, or make a smoothie. You are preparing and producing a beverage.
What about make a reservation? We saw this in the office section too.
It's a universal rule. A reservation is an arrangement you create with a restaurant or hotel. It's a choice you've made and secured. So you make a reservation or make a booking.
So, to summarize, the activity of getting food is doing the shopping. The general chore of preparing it is doing the cooking. But the specific meals and drinks are always made.
Precisely. And if the food is bad at the restaurant, you might have to make a complaint, which we learned in the previous section. We've talked about physical things and communication, but what happens inside our heads? That's where the factory versus the flow theory gets really interesting.
I agree. Your mind is like the ultimate factory. It takes information and produces choices, plans, and ideas. Let's look at how we're planning our next big adventure.
Alex, have you made a choice about where we should go for our trip? We've been looking at this brochure for an hour.
I am still doing some thinking, Sarah. It's a big commitment. I want to make sure we pick the right spot. If we go somewhere boring, we'll regret it.
I've already made a plan for both Italy and Japan. Personally, I think Italy would do wonders for our stress levels. The food and the sun would be perfect.
That makes sense. But does it make a difference to you if we go in the summer or the fall?
It makes a huge difference. The weather is completely different. We need to make a discovery. Let's find a place that nobody else knows about.
You always want to make an exception to the rules. Everyone goes to Rome, but you want a hidden village. Okay, let's make a deal. You choose the location and I'll do the budget. Wow, so many mental products there. Sarah, why did you ask if I had made a choice?
A choice is a result. You have many options and your mind produces one final path. It's the output of your mental factory. So we always make a choice and make a decision. These are the two most important mental phrases to remember.
And I said I was doing some thinking.
Thinking is a process. It's the flow of thoughts through your brain. You aren't finished yet. You are just performing the activity. So we say do some thinking or do some brainstorming.
Then I said I want to make sure. That feels like an action, not a thing.
It's a fixed expression. When you make sure of something, you are creating certainty. You're establishing a state of being sure. It fits the factory logic because you are establishing a result.
You also mentioned that Italy would do wonders for us. That's a strange one.
This is a great idiom. When something does wonders, it means it has a very good effect on something. We use do here because we are talking about a process of improvement or a beneficial action. Similarly, we say something does more harm than good.
I asked if the timing makes a difference and said your idea makes sense.
These are very common. Sense and difference are results. If something makes sense, it produces a logical conclusion in your mind. If something makes a difference, it produces a change or an impact.
And what about your plan? You said you made a plan.
A plan is a structured creation. It's a document or a set of ideas that you've built. You factory produced it. So you make a plan, make an arrangement, or make a discovery.
We ended with make a deal and do the budget.
A deal is a result of a negotiation, a creation of an agreement, but a budget is like paperwork or math. It's a process of calculating and organizing, so you do the budget or do the math.
I'm starting to see that make is for when the mind finishes something and do is for when the mind is working on something.
That's a perfect way to put it, Alex.
We have traveled through the kitchen, the office, the gym, and even the human mind. Now it's time to do justice to the remaining idioms and wrap up our theory.
Do justice. That's a perfect start, Alex. We use do here because giving a topic the attention it deserves is a process, an act of fairness. It's the flow of respect.
Throughout this masterclass, we've seen that our factory versus the flow theory works about 90% of the time. But English is a living language, and sometimes it likes to make an exception.
Let's look at a few of those. For example, why do we say do a favor but make a suggestion? Both are verbal, right?
True, but remember, a suggestion is an idea you produce, a result, while a favor is an action you perform for someone, a process. That's why the theory still holds up if you look closely. However, some phrases are just fixed. For instance, in sports, you do gymnastics, but you make a move in chess.
And what about the word money? We said we make money when we earn it, but when we are talking about what we do with it, we might say we are doing the accounts.
Exactly. Managing the accounts is the process of counting and organizing. That's the flow. But the profit at the end, that's what you make.
Let's look at some power idioms for our students. Alex, have you ever heard the phrase make a killing?
It sounds dangerous, but in business, it means you made a huge amount of money very quickly. You produced a massive result. On the other hand, if you're behaving very well, your mother might say you're doing fine.
Another one is make do. This is a strange one because it uses both verbs. It means to manage with whatever you have available. For example, we don't have a hammer, so we'll have to make do with a rock.
That is a classic. And how about do the honors?
That's when you invite someone to perform a special task, like cutting a cake or opening a bottle. Alex, will you do the honors and summarize our theory for the final time?
I would be happy to. Throughout this journey, whenever you're confused, just stop and ask yourself, is this a task, a job, or a general activity? Is it a process that repeats? If yes, use do. Do the dishes, do your hair, do your best. Is this a result, a creation, or a physical object? Did something new exist after I finished? If yes, use make. Make a cake, make a decision, make a mistake.
That's the heart of it, Alex. Of course, there are the do's and don'ts of English, another idiom there, but if you follow the factory versus the flow, you will be right almost every time.
We've done a lot of work today, and I think we've made a real difference in how our students see these verbs.
I agree. It's been a long journey, but every step was worth it. Thank you for staying with us through this entire masterclass.
Keep practicing, keep making progress, and keep doing your best. We'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye, everyone.